Good morning, campers. Microsoft Flight Simulator is updating at the moment, so rather than play the game, I'm just going to show you my control setup because people have seemed somewhat curious about that, how I'm hitting switches and stuff without actually doing it in the sim. So yeah, this is my computer that actually manages to run Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's a Dell G7 laptop from early 2019. I got this, and it's able to handle Flight Simulator 1080p. And most of the settings, medium, a couple of them pushed to high, and clouds on ultra, because good clouds are important. But yeah, so this is the only mouse I'm using. It's just the touchpad. I don't have enough USB ports to actually plug in my laser mouse, and I don't have the desk space for it either, as you can probably tell. So let's do the joystick first. So first off, got the Thrustmaster T16000 joystick. So that's going to give you the buttons on the top. Hat switch is what I use to look around for the most part. I'm trying to remember what I've got all the buttons set to. Let's see. Yeah, so I've got this for reset the camera, push to talk for VAT sim, and this disables the autopilot. And then the trigger is my smart cam. So that usually I have that set to look at the runway, the active runway for whatever airport I'm on. So this is a pretty good joystick. I do like the light when you're moving it. I'd rather it be. The joystick itself is ambidextrous. You can turn this around to make it a left-handed joystick, and these side pieces can be swapped out for ones with hand rests, so make it a little more ergonomic. But I leave it kind of in this ready to be ambidextrous. Just sometimes I fly with it on the left, sometimes I fly with it on the right. And once I get the Bravo throttle, this is going to be permanently moving over to the left until I get a yoke. So I've got this set for the propeller axis. You can get this joystick on its own and use this as a throttle, and it works great. These lines on the side, absolutely useless for telling what you're actually set to, because you can see the slider doesn't go all the way through that same range. So, a little confusing there. I've got all these buttons set for air traffic control, and there's matching buttons on the right side that I use for pushback. One of these is mapped to add fuel for the bush trips, etc. Drone camera button is over here. And so this stick, you might notice, is almost identical to the TCA side stick, the Airbus side stick that Thrustmaster sells. So a lot of it's the same mold. The trigger, I think, is the same. Some of the buttons up here are all different. But it's got the similar action, and the base is identical, just painted differently. But yeah, I think this has one more button on the top of the joystick here, but other than that, I think the difference is minimal, though I think on the Airbus you can actually lock the rotation so that you don't, so the stick cannot be twisted on the Airbus side stick. So if that's what matters to you, this is obviously the one to get. And the Airbus's buttons up here are swappable, so they can be left or right-handed as well. So yeah, great little stick. A little bit pricey, but you know, gets the job done. Since the stick that I prefer is no longer sold. And then this is my cheat sheet of just like a quick reference for what I've got all the buttons mapped to. This is the Logitech G Farming Simulator Heavy Equipment side panel. So I just have various buttons set to different things. Most of these are autopilot functions on this top two rows. These are mostly set to lights. These control mixture, and I think the bottom right one's pitot heat. Mixture max, mixture lean, and best mixture. Parking brake, plus minus. The twist action on this is for my magnetos, and then the directions choose the heading bug, altitude bug, vertical speed bug, etc. And then I've got these set to various landing gear functions. So great little side panel, a lot of extra switches, really handy, though annoying because you'll see why this is over here. I would prefer to fly with this left-handed, the stick left-handed, just so I have a free hand for messing with the panel switches. But unfortunately, this is my throttle. I say unfortunately, it's a great throttle, but it's not ambidextrous. You can't flip this around and get a left-handed version of this. So the action's really good. It slides on a set of rails inside. When I first got it, it was a little bit iffy, but some WD-40 on the rails inside solved that problem. There's an extra axis on the back here. I use that for fine mixture control, though if you're playing a space sim, something like that, you can use this for like forward and backwards translation controls. And combined with the rudder pedals and the stick, you have enough axes to actually cover pretty much everything. You also got a nice trim wheel here, which you can set up as an axis. It's not a free spinning wheel. It has a start and a bottom, or it has a max and a min. So this is a really nice little trim wheel, actually. Got 3 8-direction hat switches on this side. You can customize to whatever you want in the game. They're pretty great, and I've got landing gear set on this little button. A couple more buttons on the back here. You've got a joystick, which is perfect for looking around. This switch, I believe, is flaps, is what I have it set to. And then we've got 2 more buttons that you can hit with your, you can hit without having to move your hand off the throttle, which I believe I've got set to reverse thrust and spoilers, which, you know, I change that stuff around pretty regularly. You can probably see all the eraser marks on the paper. So then last but not least, we've got the T-Flight Rudder pedals. This is called the Throttle Weapon Control System, TWCS, by the way, if you buy this separately. Also, it has a tendency to move around a lot on the table, but you might be noticing it's not going anywhere. I have it Velcroed to the table. So a couple of these solve that problem real nicely, and then you can just Velcro whatever. You can swap it out pretty easily with another item. So yeah, obviously you got limited space here. You can see I'm working with an IKEA desk and an IKEA side table and a plastic crate. But hey, it works. Oh wow, the update's almost done. But anyway, so the final one is the T-Flight Rudder pedals. These are pretty great. They've got the brake axes, and they've got a pretty good sliding action. Same issue as with the TWCS, where the rails were a little bit sticky the first time I got them. But WD-40 solved that problem pretty quick, and these are now pretty good action. Tend to lurch a tiny bit, so it's like, you know, you don't get really smooth action, but, you know, if you're careful, you can control it pretty well. For considering what I paid for these are great rudder pedals. But yeah, you got the brake, and if you don't like having your whole feet on the pedals, the way I do believe these heel stops can be removed, and they advertise on the flight you can fly it with just your half a foot on the pedal, but I don't really like that very much myself. I prefer the whole foot sort of thing, though I often just fly with my feet beside it until I'm getting ready to land. But yeah, no, these are pretty great, and they plug directly into the TWCS, though I think if you buy them separately, they come with a USB adapter, so they can take up an entire USB port. I believe these can also be plugged into the TCA throttle. The TCA throttle quad, I believe, can plug these pedals in as well, and I think they use the same attachment as the pendular rudder pedals. So those can be swapped pretty easily if you get the money and want to upgrade to the rudder pedals. They can just be literally plugged right into the same setup as these. So yeah, pretty happy with this, honestly. It's served me well so far. Going to be replacing this with a Bravo throttle quadrant whenever I get that. I was unlucky and did not have, you can also see the farm simulator wheel down there. That's what I use for truck sim. I got kind of unlucky and missed the pre-order period for actual honeycomb directly. So I'm just waiting for a third party that I pre-ordered from to get theirs in, but it looks like that'll probably be February before I get a Bravo throttle quadrant to actually replace this. Then we'll be moving this stick over to the left, and this little guy will be basically just my connector for the rudders. But yeah, so yeah, and of course Xbox One wireless controller, really handy for controlling the drone. Though I've got alternate controls mapped on all of the other items, so you don't have to have the controller plugged in. It looks like my update's almost done installing, so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Elio-Dare. You can find me on the internet at Elio-Dare on Xbox Live, Steam, Nintendo Switch, and Twitter. Come say hi on those, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Let's get back to the flight simulator.